Hello, my name is Wayne Cooper, Managing Partner with EHR, and I have a better way to prove that the goals you set in your SSA become reality. With over 30 MMIS projects under my belt, I felt there had to be a better, faster, and cheaper way to prove that my Medicaid solution could perform the processes in CMS's Medicaid guidelines. That's why I developed ReadyCert, the first compliance software designed exclusively for MITA 3.0 and the 7 conditions. ReadyCert allows state governments and vendors to capture your goals in the SSA, produce APDs and RFPs, develop proposals, evaluate solutions, track process deployment, and prove certification readiness, all utilizing the same MITA processes and visions set by the state. If you are a stakeholder in a MITA 3.0 project and are seeking enhanced federal funding under CMS's guidelines, take the time to review ReadyCert. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3.
Greetings! Welcome to Electronic Health Resources ReadyCert demonstration. My name is Zane and I'm here to show you how to take MITA 3.0 from complexity to simplicity. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Let's start with a brief introduction. In this presentation, we're going to go over ReadyCert. What is it? What are some of its key features? We're going to look at how to perform MITA 3.0 state self-assessments. We're going to show you how ReadyCert helps states, vendors, and CMS go through the 6 certification milestones with ease. We'll look at ReadyCert's 6CM methodology and talk about ReadyCert's training and reference materials. EHR developed ReadyCert to answer the call from state Medicaid agencies, CMS, and vendors for a MITA-aligned tool for the SLA world that Medicaid lives in today. ReadyCert makes it easy to link the MITA framework to real-life Medicaid initiatives. ReadyCert makes it easy for states to comply with MITA 3.0. It is completely centered around MITA business processes and the 7 conditions. It is purpose-built to align with CMS guidelines like the SSA Companion Guide and the Medicaid Enterprise Certification Roadmap. It puts all the information, evidence, and artifacts states and CMS need in a single place. It integrates with standard Office automation tools, including the MS Office Suite, MS Project, and SharePoint. ReadyCert helps you adopt the new normal, like plug-and-play Medicaid solutions, SOA, and analyze, configure, and deploy. It hides the complexity of MITA 3.0 and the 7 conditions from users, and helps take the MITA framework from the background and put it in the foreground. It makes MITA real. It is equally relevant and valuable for state Medicaid agencies, IV&V contractors, and Medicaid vendors. The standout features of ReadyCert include the ability to perform the state self-assessment, to develop RFP, RTM, and MEC checklists, to write and score vendor proposals, track Medicaid solution deployment, and it helps you prepare for certification. Let's go over the first MITA requirement, the state self-assessment, and see how ReadyCert transforms the process. MITA 3.0 starts with the state self-assessment, a task that historically causes anxiety, requires expensive contractors, and takes an excessive amount of time to complete. Time is money when we talk about enhanced federal funding for your initiatives. The longer it takes to do the SSA, the longer it takes you to get your matching funds. We will show you how to take the MITA roadmap, all 6 certification milestones, capture your business processes, rate your maturity, establish your future goals, and carry that process-driven data all the way through to certification. We will show you how to do it better, faster, and cheaper. The first thing we built into ReadyCert is that which revolves around the business of Medicaid, the business processes. That's the foundation of MITA. ReadyCert comes preloaded with all the business processes. You simply select the ones you're going to self-assess. The hierarchy flows from these business processes. Once you have them, everything else cascades from that point. Adding state-specific business processes is easy. Just click on the icon, name it, describe it, and save it. Plus, the state-specific function can be limited to only those authorized users in your organization. MITA requires you to rate your current MITA maturity level from 1 to 5. Right now, most states self-assess as 1 or 2. That's to be expected. The road to go from the custom monolithic systems of the past, with all the custom business processes and lack of standard data, isn't easy. Everyone knows that this is a journey. MITA provides the signposts. If you're here, you are a level 3. So that states self-assess with consistency. We know the ultimate goal of MITA is that there is a standards-based Medicaid enterprise at a national level. with localized diversity as necessary to the jurisdiction. ReadyCert has all the maturity values preloaded for the business, information, and technical architecture layers, as well as the 7 conditions. It helps each state enforce MITA consistency. Now, let's select the MITA business process category, provider management, and let's select the business objective, enroll provider. We want to show how the state Medicaid agency does that process currently. This is our as-is condition. To demonstrate our as-is state, we need supporting evidence that proves the assessment. We go to the catalog of processes stored in the Project Management Office database, pick the right business process model diagram, and attach it to that process. Now, when we want to see how we currently enroll providers, there it is, the business process model linked directly to the MITA business process. Now, what screen do we use to enroll these providers? Go to the list of screens in the system library, pick the provider enrollment screen, and attach the screen in ReadyCert. We also have provider enrollment reports that will help substantiate our current level of maturity. We go to the standard report library and get an example of the report. Attach it to the enroll provider process. We now have our as-is condition documented. The evidence is there. Now we rate it. The ratings and definitions are preloaded in ReadyCert. Review the ratings, assess the evidence, select the best match, enter the maturity level. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. For some values, we are going to engage stakeholders along the way to gather information. ReadyCert can be installed on any tablet, allowing the worker to go from office to office, interview stakeholders, gather evidence, review findings, etc., to rate the maturity level. This collaboration is enabled, not just now at the state self-assessment, but throughout the entire journey towards CMS certification using ReadyCert. Let's get back to the state self-assessment. Now we have to establish our desired future state and plans to raise the level of maturity. The goal is called our to-be condition. We recommend collaboration with stakeholders to establish the to-be goals. Right now, that collaboration is done by sitting in long meetings, looking at copies of documents, trying to find information someone thinks is available. That's due to the lack of information organized and cataloged according to the MITA standards. Right now, we try to use office automation tools like spreadsheets to back into everything. ReadyCert gives you the tool to front load and let stakeholders make informed decisions. We can even imagine a day that agency staffers, using MITA-defined and aligned criteria, make the recommendation and leadership concurs or not by reviewing the evidence in ReadyCert. Now that's productive. To continue, we go through the same process I demonstrated for rating our as-is condition. MITA provides a list of documents that are appropriate to serve as evidence for the to-be assessment. ReadyCert comes preloaded with those lists. You will have additional ones which are easy to add. The Health Information Technology Plan is the document that outlines our plans to improve the enroll provider business process. We assess that document, isolate the appropriate sections, and attach them in ReadyCert. I do the same for reports, screens, artifacts, anything that proves our goal is realistic. We have actual plans to achieve it, and we have our target date for achievement. I want to meet with the stakeholders, show what evidence we have to support the next level of maturity, and collaborate on the final rating. The to-be ratings and descriptions are preloaded in ReadyCert. We review our plans against the MITA descriptions. We determine that our to-be state is a level 3, and we enter it. As-is and to-be ratings assessed as a single process. Simple, straightforward, logical, and linked. ReadyCert automatically produces a scorecard for every business process for each layer, business, information, and technical, and for the 7 conditions. CMS wants to see the scorecards, and states are challenged to produce them. ReadyCert eliminates this roadblock. There is no other tool on the market that produces the scorecards as part of the process, rather than as a cumbersome, complex after-process routine. MITA has 10 major processes and 80 subordinates, all preloaded in ReadyCert. You select the ones to be included in the self-assessment. All the descriptions and values you need to complete your assessment are right there, part of the business process. It lets workers use knowledge. It gets them out from under massive data stores and mountains of paper. Unlike ones we've done in the past, this one is a living assessment, ready to inform downstream activities, like APDs, like RFPs, one that can be updated on demand or at a schedule that works for the SMA. EHR has taken the state self-assessment from shelfware to valueware, something that advances your Medicaid initiatives, helps your people, and helps your SMA achieve matching federal funds faster. Now I want to go to the next important ranking, 7 conditions and standards for enhanced federal funding. The CMS said, basically, if we're going to give you extra money, your solution is going to look like this. The 7 conditions are modularity, MITA alignment, industry standards, leverage, reporting, business results, and interoperability. Each condition is intended to advance the cause of MITA and has maturity attributes associated with it. The 7 conditions go across all 3 architectural layers of MITA, adding yet another level of complexity to MITA 3.0. ReadyCert has taken away that complexity. Let's see how. When the CMS looks at your plans and solutions, they're going to be looking for the attributes represented in the 7 conditions. SMAs have a lot of influence in saying how the 7 conditions manifest. There are some hard and fast rules, like having open interfaces. That's an attribute for modularity. Another attribute is the use of an SDLC methodology. You decide what that looks like for your organization. You can, for example, replace the largely obsolete DD&I approach and introduce a methodology that uses the building blocks of analyze, configure, and deploy. This is appropriate to the SOA-based MITA-aligned solutions. The 7 conditions give you that flexibility. ReadyCert gives you 7 condition scorecards as well, something the CMS wants to see but knows that states are challenged to produce. ReadyCert erases that challenge. 7 condition scorecards are produced automatically. We use the same process for the 7 conditions that we used for the as-is and to-be assessments. ReadyCert is preloaded with the 7 conditions maturity level definitions. We attach evidence, review the levels, and simply enter the correct value. We can get through the modularity, MITA, industry standards, leverage, business results, reporting, and interoperability as one seamless process. The 7 conditions made easy. Once we have all the values loaded in ReadyCert, doing the annual updates is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Information we need to make decisions is right at our fingertips. We go forward in the process to see where the deployment of new business process and technology is. Downstream information is just a click away. This is the key. Everything is linked to the MITA business processes. We can see everything for that process from the SSA to the downstream RFP requirements to the solution that was deployed to handle it. Simply by clicking, it's all there, always linked, automatically. We know how much your organization relies on project plans. That's why we've designed ReadyCert to link to MS Project throughout the state self-assessment and all 6 CMS certification milestones. We'll talk more about this later in the video, but suffice to say that your PMO and SSA workers will always be in sync. At this point, we've completed our self-assessment under MITA 3.0 and the 7 conditions. We prepare the APD and include the self-assessment. We give the CMS evaluators a copy of ReadyCert, fully populated with the information the evaluators need to review and approve the plans for federal funding. ReadyCert. We've made the SSA process better, faster, and cheaper. ReadyCert is the only tool of its kind. It has the entire MITA framework embedded in it. It takes the guesswork out of performing the self-assessment. ReadyCert makes all information available for downstream activities, which we'll see in a minute. One and done. Perhaps the biggest benefit for your staff is that it enforces compliance and helps create knowledge workers. It helps take the mystery out of MITA, making the complex simple, saving you time, and saving you money. By now you're seeing how much simpler your jobs will be with ReadyCert, how much easier it will be to communicate with the CMS and get what you need, how much better your decisions, how much faster the work gets produced, and how much better you will be able to use your scarcest resource, your people. Let's move forward to the next major step in the certification roadmap. This is where all the planning comes together. Everything we did in the state self-assessment carries forward to the procurement phase. Reuse, nothing is static. Every bit of information has a purpose, and ReadyCert puts that information to work for you. Let's go through the functions that support the state's procurements. Using the output from your state self-assessment, you've submitted your plans to the CMS and they've approved them. Now you're ready to procure the market solutions you need to achieve your 2B goals. ReadyCert simplifies the development of your RFPs. You've been involved in the creation of a Requirements Traceability Matrix, or RTM. You know that the MAC checklists have become the de facto template for RTMs and MIS procurements. While CMS hasn't finished checklists yet for eligibility and enrollment, and exchange checklists are likely a long ways off, the MEC format is here to stay. Some of you may have experience with the MEC checklist and have gone through the process of adding your state-specific requirements. The state-specific requirements you added in your self-assessment using ReadyCert automatically carry over to the MEC checklists. ReadyCert helps your RFP in two important ways. First, you created the state self-assessment that carries forward into the RFP. Second, ReadyCert helps you make the RTM the centerpiece of your RFP. As we go through the process, you'll see how putting the solution in the center is really going to improve your RFP and the source selection decisions that you make. Let me talk for a minute about why these are called system review criteria and not requirements. The reason is we are procuring commercially available solutions. The business applications are already built. There is no design, there is no develop. The functionality was designed and developed in the factory. We are asking the vendors to prove that their solutions do what we need them to do. You're essentially saying, prove it to me, show me through submitting solution descriptions, screenshots, reports, BPMs, product roadmaps, that your solution meets my needs. ReadyCert automatically populates MEC templates for all the business processes that you mapped in your state self-assessment. We select the MEC checklists that will be part of the procurement. That forms the baseline RTM. Next, we take the MEC template and customize the categories of information that you want to see according to the agency's needs. The categories we add here are going to carry forward to the RFP. These form the response requirements vendors have for completing the RTM. Some of the category headings we'll want are solution description, screenshots, reports, BPMs, yes, no, is the solution compliant, release number for the new functionality. The MEC checklist, all 20 of them, are preloaded in ReadyCert. As more are released, they will be preloaded as well. All you need to do is add your state-specific review criteria. You can even include soft requirements in your RTM. We call these the enabling business processes and resource considerations. Let's say you want a new organizational model for the new environment that you are creating. Enter that as a state-specific in the RTM and create your system review criteria for it. The vendors will answer your needs here and provide proof points, such as, in this example, by attaching an org chart. As long as there is a numbering scheme, ReadyCert can support any review criteria that you need to prove a vendor's solution. When you add your category headings, it's one and done, consistent across the entire RTM. And because your RTM is linked to the self-assessment, you can give the vendors the to-be goals for each process. Your MITA maturity roadmap, scorecards, whatever you think will help get the best solution for your state. All this without one bit of additional work activity. It's all there at your disposal to improve your ability to select the best, most MITA-centric solution for your Medicaid program. When the RFP is released, you provide the vendors with access to ReadyCert. Instead of filling out Word document after Word document or complicated spreadsheets, they use the same tool that you did to create the RTM. Now you have a way to put the most weight in the most objective-based scoring on the RTM. Of course, you ask for the normal proposal text, like the executive summary, resumes, qualifications, but you've now made the RTM the centerpiece of the technical evaluation. You specify the proof points vendors must submit. You have all that information to evaluate. Best value decisions enabled by ReadyCert. Using ReadyCert, the vendors prove to you with fact-based, objective evidence that their solution meets your needs. If functionality exists, vendors can prove it. If it doesn't, they can't. ReadyCert removes all doubt. Gaps are okay though. There will always be gaps. ReadyCert accepts as much information as you need about how and when the vendor plans to close the gap. Objective, fact-based. When the vendors return their proposals, your evaluation team won't have to wonder. They won't have to assume. They will always be able to see and select the solution attribute that they like best, piece by piece, building up to a final score. ReadyCert makes the whole RFP process easier and, at the same time, reinforces a modern way of introducing new processes, technology, and information. In the past, you gave the vendor your requirements and told them to develop those requirements. They proposed a traditional, expensive, and time-consuming DD&I project. Now you say, we need the solution to do this. For example, expose all the interfaces. The vendor proves that its solution can do what you need by submitting evidence. We need maximum flexibility for benefit plan segments. The vendor approves it. We are no longer designing, developing, and implementing. The solutions are commercially available. They're already built. The vendor approves the functionality and features that you need. With MITA and SOA-based solutions, we analyze, configure, and deploy. Analyze my needs, configure my business rules, and deploy bundled business, technical, and information functionality after rigorous testing and QA. ReadyCert continuously reinforces this new way of operating with your project teams. This will serve you well downstream during deployment. Analyze, configure, and deploy. Let's move to the vendor selection process. ReadyCert accepts multiple proposals for side-by-side comparison. Process by process, let's look at Enroll Provider, at how each vendor does it with real-life details, BPMs, screenshots, reports. We score the solutions. You specify the scoring methodology with weights, rankings, and values. ReadyCert gives you the tool. When the contract is awarded, you have a record of what the vendor proved, what commitments it made, and the schedules for completion. Now we have the means to monitor the progress toward the 2B goals. You can track actual progress against planned progress, all by using or reusing the original state self-assessment information carried forward to the RFP, carried forward to the evaluation of proposals, carried forward to solution deployment, and carried forward to CMS certification. Imagine how much better this process is when compared to what we've done for more than 30 years. Mountains of documents to pour through, agency time to relate one solution attribute to the next, complicated spreadsheets, preparing the source selection evaluation package, and let's not forget protests. Just think how easy it would be to adjudicate a protest armed with this fact-based, objective evidence to support your source selection. You've been through the discussion. How do our procurements advance MITA maturity? ReadyCert answers the question. Your RFP comes out with the MITA maturity roadmap. It's born from the 2B assessments, so it's automatically linked. No disconnects in the procurement cycle. Everything is logical, linked, and controlled. Because everything from the state self-assessment is linked to the procurement, you can be sure that the solutions you select are proven and will actually advance MITA maturity. Better procurements and less time, costing less money. Next, we'll move on to track deployment and progress toward certification. The MEG checklists that form the RTM automatically carry over from procurement to deployment. The final negotiated baseline that goes in your contract with the vendors is the same baseline RTM used for deployment, no repurposing required. In any Medicaid solution deployment, the number of participating parties and stakeholders is extensive. There's the state Medicaid agency, the other state agencies and departments that rely on the Medicaid solution, the vendors deploying the solution, other vendors affected by the deployment, plus IV&V and PMO vendors. Coordination and communication has always been a challenge. Now, with ReadyCert, every group participating in the deployment can access the RTM and get any information they need. What the solution is supposed to look like, how is it going to advance MITA maturity, related business process areas, you name it. ReadyCert links all information in the RTM predecessor information from the SSA, APD, and RFP, as well as to planned information like the schedule for deployment and progress against plans. One of the most notorious problems with deployments is the tendency for project teams to start with requirements gathering sessions. While that may have been needed when we were developing new systems, they are not necessary in today's MITA-aligned SOA-based world. We talked earlier about the new methodology, Analyze, Configure, and Deploy, for Medicaid solutions and how DD&I methodologies from the past are obsolete. ReadyCert truly advances the new paradigm of Analyze, Configure, and Deploy because everything is centered around business processes and the MITA system review criteria. Your project teams will be able to see everything that is planned for deployment and certification in one place. All the requirements have already been documented and proven. There is no need for JAD or other requirements gathering sessions. They are all there. This allows project leadership to move past requirements into deployment. ReadyCert gives them the tool to prove the requirements have been documented. It gives them the tool to prove the solution is ready for deployment. Deployment is carried out using the state or vendor's overall methodology for analyzing the requirements, configuring and testing the solution, and deploying bundles of business, information, and technical functionality. Change is a given. That's why we designed ReadyCert to integrate seamlessly with MS Project, the Medicaid project management tool of choice. Whenever there's a change in the product plan, ReadyCert is notified, and vice versa. When a change is made to the RTM, MS Project is notified. So, for example, let's say the timeline for testing the enroll provider business process is changed. The PMO updates the schedule in MS Project. The MS Project plan automatically updates the scheduled deployment date in ReadyCert for enroll provider. As long as the MS Project plan uses the MECT checklist item numbers, the link is automatic, seamless, maximum transparency, no surprises or disconnects. We can also request changes to business processes as they are automatically routed to the PMO for review and disposition. Whenever there's a change to the MECT checklist item in the RTM, the change is linked to the Foundation SSA information for a positive audit trail at all times. Let's talk about certification and how ReadyCert improves the way we go through the certification experience. Anyone who has gone through an MMIS certification knows that the effort required is monumental. However, the CMS is now considering expansion of step or incremental certification reviews. The Big Bang, all or nothing certifications may be a thing of the past. Of course, that's good for states. The faster the certification, the faster the matching federal funds. ReadyCert functions equally well in either scenario. Let's go through an incremental certification example. Let's say the provider management business process is the first component to be deployed. After we have 6 months worth of data, we request the pre-certification call. We use ReadyCert to prove to the CMS that we are ready to have the CMS certification visit. We show them each business objective, each SRC, all the artifacts related to each criterion in a single tool, no paper required. ReadyCert takes the place of the ceiling-high folders. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. After the pre-certification call, the visit is scheduled. We use the same approach for the actual visit. You can prep your people to deliver the information to CMS. Everything is right where they need it. You've been living MITA and the 7 conditions throughout the whole deployment. You've made it real. They understand it. They can see it. That means they can convincingly deliver the presentations to CMS. Whether you have an incremental or single certification visit, ReadyCert supports yours and the CMS CR team's needs. ReadyCert simplifies deployment tracking by syncing with the PMO and overall project plan. Change can be managed with full recognition of the impact of the solution. After all, the solution is the heart of the project. No more running back to the proposal to see what the vendor said its solution could do. It's all there in ReadyCert. Without lifting a finger to do anything additive, ReadyCert is building what you need for CMS certification. You will see dramatic reductions in the effort required, faster time to benefit while requiring less resources to do so. Talking about making MITA real in your agency, ReadyCert comes with an entire framework, a package to help get your people into the system quickly. These are our value-added services. First and foremost, the ReadyCert 6CM methodology. After that, we'll talk about the ReadyCert reference materials and training. The ReadyCert 6CM methodology is named for the 6 CMS certification milestones. It's an approach for streamlining the SSA process, reusing and leveraging SSA information in downstream CMS certification milestone activities, and continuously improving and advancing the MITA framework, initiative, and compliance. ReadyCert 6CM is an innovative, best practice-based approach for performing the activities contained in the SSA Companion Guide and Medicaid Enterprise Certification Roadmap documentation. It is intended to be used in the context of an inclusive project management methodology as part of a broader change program. ReadyCert 6CM seeks to push knowledge to all levels of the organization so that each worker understands the context and contribution of individual activities to the MITA initiative. ReadyCert 6CM helps the state Medicaid team understand the relationship among business processes, the 3 MITA architectural layers, and the 7 standards and conditions for enhanced federal funding. The greater the understanding of MITA 3.0, the greater the relevance of the SSA to influence and inform downstream activities. The methodology is published on EHR's web documentation server in the familiar Wikipedia format. Every chapter is available for everyone with a ReadyCert license. ReadyCert comes pre-packaged with all the necessary reference materials to get your organization started quickly and efficiently. We have an extensive wiki library of reference documentation, version controlled and updated regularly. The wiki includes an all-inclusive user guide for every function in ReadyCert. This includes detailed screenshots to show you when and where to click and why. It also includes hierarchical workflows to guide users through the SSA Companion Guide. The wiki also includes definitions for terms used throughout ReadyCert in acronym and glossary forms. We've also put the entire library of relevant CMS documentation in the wiki, giving users a single place to go for information. As I mentioned before, it includes the ReadyCert 6CM methodology. The wiki library is completely cross-referenced. If one page relates to another, it is linked up and referenced for ease of use. Also, if there's a useful wiki page pertaining to a certain screen in ReadyCert, that page is linked up via the Help button, which opens up a new page in your browser with the corresponding wiki page available to view. The wiki format is portable. It's possible to open up a carbon copy of our master page database, including all of our reference materials and help documents, but with the added ability to edit the content for your organization. MediaWiki is based on an open source software framework that is web-enabled and mobile device friendly. Let's talk about training now for a minute. With some software, it's not easy to jump right in and use it. That's why EHR is preparing ReadyCert Basic and Advanced User Training. Each type of training are found on their individual wiki pages. The training is created using an interactive e-learning instructional design technique that lets you actually use the software in a non-live environment. Each e-learning module is timed so that you know how long you're going to spend in training and can thus plan for it accordingly. Let's look at how the e-learning will work for you. First, I'll take you through the concepts of a use case scenario, conveying all applicable introductory ideas behind a process. Then I'll show you how I, an expert user of the software, conduct that task. And then I'll set you free inside a sandboxed version of the software to let you try it out for yourself. If you end up clicking the wrong thing inside the sandbox version, the e-learning module will correct you and point you in the right direction. We know that adults have different learning styles. Michigan State University has produced a study which states that the majority of adult learners have 3 dominant styles of learning: learning by watching, learning by listening, and learning by doing. This is what we base our entire training approach on. First, we'll tell you what you're going to learn, then we'll show you how to do it, then we'll set you free to try it out for yourself, backing you up along every step of the way until true mastery has been accomplished. This training is dynamic, as new concepts, features, and use case scenarios are rolled out by our design and development teams. New training and wiki pages will also be deployed to support their usage. Getting started and maintaining mastery is as easy as 1, 2, 3.
With MITA 3.0 and the 7 conditions, we're not going for the Big Bang DD&I or certification projects of the past. This is a great new world, but with the complexity of MITA 3.0, thousands of pages and difficult to make leakages has put people off. EHR has demystified it and obscured the complexity from users. ReadyCert works, and it will work for you better, faster, and cheaper.
Now that you've seen ReadyCert, I'm sure that you'll agree it saves time and money and allows your goals to develop into a compliant software solution. License ReadyCert for your next state project. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3.
ReadyCert is rated 5 on the MITA maturity scale.